ancient days, the moon has fascinated man and captured his imagination. Apart from the delights of a moonlit night, the moon is always there to cheer a child during dinner time. The moon is also considered as a symbol of love and romance. From time immemorial, heavenly bodies like the sun, the moon, the stars, meteors, comets, etc. have been objects of human inquisitiveness. Over the ages, the origin and evolution of these objects has been studied and principles governing their motions systematically formulated. We start off with a brief history of Indian astronomy and a mention of some of the great Indian astronomers. One of the greatest astronomers of the Gupta period in the 5th century, Aryabhatta, provided a systematic treatment of the position of planets in space. Exploration of the moon got a boost with the advent of the space age, and the decades of the 60s and 70s saw a myriad of successful unmanned and manned missions to the moon. Over the last 4 decades, India has achieved notable progress in the design, development and operation of space systems. The space program has become largely self-reliant, with capability to design and build satellites for providing space services and to launch them using indigenously designed and developed launch vehicles. In this direction, the Indian Space Research Organization, ISRO, has over the years set up centers and units which have built and launched spacecrafts that have been providing services in the key utility sectors of the nation. Prominent among them are the ISRO Satellite Center, ISAC, at Bengaluru, the lead center for spacecraft-related activities, and the Satish Dhawan Space Center, SDSC, SHAR, at Sriharikota in Andhra Pradesh, which is India's own spaceport of international renown. As India emerged as one of the very few countries that have significant achievements to their credit in the arena of space, ISRO took up the challenge of Chandrayaan-1, its first bold step beyond Earth's orbit into deep space, with the objective to expand scientific knowledge about the moon. Scientists at ISRO left no stone unturned to build the spacecraft Chandrayaan-1 to carry out India's first ever moon mission. The Chandrayaan-1 spacecraft carries 11 scientific instruments and weighed about 1,380 kilograms at the time of its launch, and is shaped like a cuboid, with a solar panel projecting from one of its sides. SHAR was bracing itself for the launch of Chandrayaan-1 on board PSLV C-11, which is an upgraded version of ISRO's Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle. Weighing 316 tons at liftoff, the launch vehicle used larger strap-on motors, PSOM XL, to achieve higher payload capability. PSLV, in its standard configuration, is a 4-stage launch vehicle employing both solid and liquid propulsion stages. After passing a flurry of tests at ISRO's Satellite Center, Bangalore, the Chandrayaan-1 satellite was transported to SDSC SHAR at Sriharikota. Once at Sriharikota, scientists carried out the pre-launch operations on the Lunar spacecraft. Later, at the vehicle assembly tower, the encapsulated spacecraft was integrated with its carrier, the launch vehicle PSLV C-11. After completion of all tests, pre-launch operations, and the mating of the spacecraft with the launch vehicle, the PSLV rocket carrying Chandrayaan-1 satellite was moved to the launch pad on a mobile launch pedestal. It was the 22nd of October 2008. It was clouded and raining in Sriharikota. Not the ideal condition for a space launch. However, the confidence, backed by meticulous work and experience of the Indian scientists, was high. People from all walks of life and media from all over India assembled at Puliket near Sriharikota to witness the launch of Chandrayaan-1, India's first ever moon mission. All roads led to the venue, set to create history. For the space scientists at Shar, all eyes were fixed onto their control monitors as the countdown began.
4, 3, 2, 1, go.
As the rain stopped and the skies showed signs of clearing for a brief period, the PSLV rocket carrying Chandrayaan-1 satellite lifted off gracefully into the cloudy sky. As it gains height, scientists carefully monitor its trajectory and other important parameters from their control room at Sriharikota. As soon as the PSLV rocket successfully injected the spacecraft into the transfer orbit, a historical event was accomplished. It was celebrations all over. The scientists' community broke into loud cheers with aplomb. ISRO chairman Dr. Madhavan Nair leads the scientific community to share their joy with the media who were gathered at Sriharikota in large numbers.
My dear colleagues, it's really a historic moment for ISRO. We have opened a new chapter in the history of Indian space program, not only for the ISRO community, but for India and for the global community as well. I'm extremely proud to say that Chandrayaan-1 has commenced its journey today. The first leg, and perhaps one of the most difficult part of the journey, has been completed successfully. In fact, we targeted for liftoff at 6:22 with the PSLV rocket from the launch pad here, and to place it in an orbit around the Earth, 250 kilometers the nearest point, and around 23,000 kilometers at the farthest. So this objective has been precisely achieved by the PSLV C-11 mission.
Now the scene shifts to the Spacecraft Control Center at ISRO Telemetry, Tracking and Command Network, ISTRAC, Peenya, Bengaluru. This center is the focal point of all operational activities of Chandrayaan-1 during the phases scheduled ahead.
Chandrayaan-1.
Mr. Annadurai, director of the mission, speaks about the main objectives of placing the spacecraft around the moon.
Spacecraft around the moon, going beyond Earth's atmosphere, beyond the space around the moon. And again to prove the technologies and instruments meant for the systematic mapping of the whole moon to understand origin and evolution of the moon in terms of chemical and mineral mapping. Over and above that, it should improve the Indian scientists and as well as Indian image in the overall international arena is concerned.
After circling the Earth initially in its transfer orbit, Chandrayaan-1 satellite spacecraft is maneuvered to attain a more elliptical extended transfer orbit. These maneuvers include repeated firing of its liquid apogee motor, LAM, in a predetermined sequence. The liquid apogee motor is fired later again to raise the spacecraft orbit in the vicinity of the moon. Dr. T.K. Alex, Director ISRO Satellite Center, ISAC, speaks about the exploration of the moon.
Some exorbitantly costly minerals which may contain some of the radioactive materials. One of the materials we are looking for is helium-3, which may be a source for future energy.
Once the spacecraft reaches the vicinity of the moon, past a few hundred kilometers, its liquid apogee motor is fired again. The spacecraft thereafter slows down sufficiently to enable the gravity of the moon to acquire it into its own elliptical orbit. On the 14th of November at 20:06 hours IST, the Moon Impact Probe, MIP, was ejected from the Chandrayaan-1 spacecraft and landed hard on the lunar surface near the region close to the lunar South Pole. It placed the Indian tricolour on the moon, which was painted on the sides of MIP, signifying India's presence in deep space. The august presence of Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, the former President of India, during the MIP landing on the moon added extra flavour to the occasion.
Moon Impact Probe.
Mr. S.K. Shivakumar, Director ISTRAC Bengaluru, speaks about MIP landing.
And it was made to land on the moon surface. While descending, it performed 3 experiments, and all of them gave good results for scientists to investigate further. With this, the Indian national flag was unfurled onto the moon surface, and it was a very thrilling moment for all Indians.
Now, the scientific instruments, the payloads, are commissioned, and exploration of the moon with an array of on-board instruments has begun. Cameras and other scientific instruments are turned on, and the control room starts getting never-before-seen close-up photographs of the moon. Bailalu, on the outskirts of Bangalore, is the scene of activity now, where the Indian Deep Space Network, IDSN, consisting of an 18-meter and a 32-meter antennae, has been established. The IDSN is a state-of-the-art system with its baseband system adhering to CCSDS standards set by the Consultative Committee for Space Data Systems. The IDSN station has the responsibility of receiving the spacecraft health data as well as the payload data in real time. Later, conditioning of the data takes place before onward transmission of the same to the Mission Operations Complex at Bangalore. Chandrayaan-1 is a highly complex mission that has once again established India's capabilities as a noteworthy spacefaring nation, besides marking its presence in deep space. With the success of the moon mission, ISRO is looking forward to undertaking more challenging interplanetary missions to conduct new and innovative explorations in the future.